Very good. So sorry. I just didn't set my alarm this time, and yeah. And then, I think, oh yeah, I can just get ready, and then then you forget all the morning routine things that have to be kind of done, with the top up the cat's food and water, and do you know what I mean? It's a thousand, it just one thing you just, oh no, that's right. And the more you rush, the more, do you know, it's all
Totally.
very it's all very
Yeah,
samsaric this morning.
very indeed.
I'm wearing my
Uh,
headphones, so I'm trying
no,
not
that's
to be as loud.
fine. Um, I yeah. So what are we I haven't done any preparation. I have to be honest, I've been kind of distracted with various things of late. So I really don't have much in the way of preparation, but we could discuss or talk about whatever really.
Okay. Well, I could throw out a few things. I mean, because we said so many things like in the future we'll do this and that. I can't even remember all the different. But I'll just say that I've been pretty regularly listening to. Can you hear me? Okay, by the way, and the
Yeah,
headphones
yeah.
working. Okay, good, good.
The
I'm gonna.
mic might be a little close to your mouth. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
is that better? That a bit better?
That's a bit better, yes.
That's a bit better. Not. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can still hear and yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Perfect,
that's
perfect.
better. Okay, good. Um, I've been reading, for this reading this time around, because I've, over the years, probably the past 17 years, I have probably have listened to the larger Pure Land Sutra like hundreds of times. Do you know what I mean? Like in all
Yeah.
the various ways when I listen to it or read it or listen to it when I go to bed at night, and just fall asleep to it, like probably
Hmm.
hundreds of times. But this time round, and I've not done that. I've done that, I guess, with the Contemplation Sutra a little bit, not as much, not to the
Hmm.
extent that I've read the larger sutra, but anyway, this time around, I've probably solidly listened to it like 3 times over. And probably if you add all the times I had to rewind, quote unquote rewind, but back up things because I lost, as I'm doing other things or whatever, or just lost the train of thought that was actually being, do you know what I mean? Consciously backing it up. It was probably more like 6 times that I've gone through it. So in recent sort of months since
How are you getting an audio version?
oh, I'm subscribed to Jhana Sounds on the uh on YouTube. That's where I listen to it.
Oh,
Jhana Sounds. Yeah. It's quite nice. The lady
channel.
that she reads all sorts of sutras. She reads like tons of different, yeah. And I think it's actually the BDK version that she reads
Yeah.
of the Pure Land Sutras, but because there's an online PDF that they've given for to
Hmm.
allow people you know to
Yeah.
use. Um, so
Right, right.
which is
Yeah.
I plan on doing like reading it for my channel and using the
Oh,
PDF
that'd be
version
great.
because they says it's okay to do so.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, so I thought maybe we could maybe look at that, things that jumped out to me.
Yeah, that
Um,
sounds like a great idea, actually.
going
So
going through it.
tell about your experience rereading it, and
So
then what
the
you
yeah, oh
know.
well, the experience itself has been well, the reason I'm doing this, we probably should talk about the reason I'm doing this is um
Mhm.
you had because I've been kind of for probably past what would you say few to several months going through that process of kind of hitting the wall again, and I
Yeah,
say again because I've been here before, with it hitting the wall, as they say, with the whole
yeah.
uh, I
religion.
guess it just comes, yeah, the religion thing and calculations and the whole skeptical, rational, quote unquote, cynical mindset, which is probably my core doubt. That's the core, doubt for me. And everything within me, um, gets to the point where everything within me almost rails against. So I guess I have these little periods of relief. I'm like, okay, no, I'm good. I can just go with it. Just go with it. Go with the trust the path. Just trust the path. Trust the, you know what I mean? And these moments, and then, but most of the time, I'm in that state of like just everything. My mind just automatically these questions come up like, oh yeah, well, or oh, is this any of this real at all? Or do you know what I mean? Which is kind of an ironic question.
Yeah, because the answer is no.
Exactly. So anyway, so going through that process of just that, that your core, I guess your core doubt, your core
Mm.
question, and your core inability to just say, what is this all about? I'm not getting anywhere. This hasn't changed in 17 years. I'm still here at this point. I'm me. I'm still here at this point, calculating away. And so,
Yeah.
so
Could I
anyway,
just
so
say something at
yeah,
this
go ahead.
point?
Yeah, say, yeah,
Um, I think that there's two things here. One is, the uh, first of all, acknowledging that having questions is a good thing.
yeah,
And it's not a
yes,
problem to have to ask and to question and so forth
yeah,
at all. Um, so that sort of frees you of like the guilt of having questions, especially if you were in a member of a more closed group, let's say, that wasn't open to questioning and
yeah,
investigation
yeah,
of the Dharma and so on. Then
exactly.
it can be amazingly just liberating to actually give yourself the license to question. Like
Yeah,
um
exactly.
you just give yourself that license, and that
Yeah,
kind of takes away the whole
agreed. Yeah,
the whole am I going too far and so on. And then the other aspect is it is true that our minds, this is why I shared that quote from um uh Dr. Berzon with you, because our minds just go off on these
yeah,
crazy tangents and they won't
yeah,
stop. They just keep going and going and going. And sometimes the solution is just to sort of bring it back to, here and now and where I am. And the way that ties into, Jodo Shinshu as well is the who I am here and now is the person who is hearing the Dharma and
yeah,
is the person who is the object of Amida's salvation. So there's no and of Amida's vow and the working of that
yeah,
vow. There's no me that I have to become in order to, suddenly be the person that is fit to
yes,
hear the
yes,
vow.
yes,
There's no, right now as I am,
yes.
with all
It's
my issues,
yeah,
is the me who is the me who is being illuminated, shown upon, and hopefully embraced by the light of Amida, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
and that's what's true and real. So when you're asking, do I and I totally relate to the whole question about believing and how much do I believe and what do I believe, because it's a question. Like I went to the other day, we could discuss this more later, but I went to Nagano in Japan, where's this a very ancient temple called Zenkoji, which Shinran Shonin sort of stayed at and was actually involved with propagation of the Pure Land teaching. when he was in Eastern Japan. And this is a temple that was built actually contemporary with Shotoku Taishi, so Prince Shotoku. So this is very, very old temple. It was built before Shinran and before Honen, in fact. And today it's kind of operated by the Tendai school and the Pure Land, the Jodoshu, I think Chinsei school. They
Interesting.
kind of share it. It's like
Interesting.
shared, right?
Came full circle. The
Yeah, yeah.
the
Well, it's
Tendai,
known
because
for,
that's where both
yeah,
Honen and Shinran
yeah,
kind of came out of, isn't it? The Tendai, they were Tendai
right.
uh, monks,
Well,
or
the
yeah.
reason is it's a temple that from ancient times is known as a place of worship of Amida Buddha, because of it's called the Ikko Sanzon Amida Nyorai. It's an image of Amida and then the two bodhisattvas on the left and right within one like halo. So that's it's called
Okay, interesting.
the one light three figure image of Amida, and actually Shinron is known to have seen it, and some of the hymns he wrote are probably references to that image. But it's a what's called a hidden Buddha, so it's never directly shown to the public. It's basically kept in seclusion within the temple, but you can see like where it is, you know. So everyone prays in the direction of where it is, but you can't actually see the image itself, although they have replicas in other areas of the temple. Anyway,
Interesting.
one
Interesting.
of the interesting things about this temple is there's a lot of legends and stories about people who saw the Amida Buddha, or the three Amida with the attending bodhisattvas, and then also a lot of stories about people who were like healed of diseases. There's a guy who threw away his crutches and walked, and somebody came back to life, and all these miraculous stories about the power of
Yeah.
faith in the Buddha. And what people would do is, when they experience some sort of miracle like this, some sort of miraculous working of the Buddha's power, they would sort of commission like a painting of it, of the event, and then an account of it, and then they would give it to the temple as like sort of a donation. So they actually have all of these on display. They have all of these amazing, accounts of people encountering, the Buddha, and being healed, and so on and so forth. And it's really beautiful, and it's amazing to see like the faith of the people of that, an earlier time, and so on. But it also, if you're a modern person like me, just wandering around in your in your with your iPhone, and it does sort of raise the question of, how much faith do I have in comparison with these people? I'm probably not
Yeah.
about the
Exactly.
having a glorious
Exactly.
vision of the Buddha, about Zen Koji, or anything like that. So the question then becomes uh, is it okay to still be a Buddhist as you are, without having to will yourself or subscribe to, all of these sort of things? And so that's just an interesting issue that I thought when I was there at the temple. Now, of course, in Jodo Shinshu, it really doesn't matter what kind of faith we might be able to produce on our end of things, because it's Amida's directing to us. So, we don't have to like, oh, I believe, that
Yeah.
that kind of self-power, self-willed. We don't have to will ourselves to believe in six impossible things before breakfast as the Red Queen. Which I personally find a relief. And what I find is like, oh, it's okay to just be who I am. I don't have to. I can be moved and impressed by these stories of people's deep devotion to and belief in the Dharma, and of course that's a good thing to be, but I don't have to like uh you know be something other than you can't really will yourself to believe in things anyway, and there's always in Japan, in anywhere really, when you have religion or Buddhism, there's always that sort of um blurry, well, not blurry, but kind of the line between legend and you know
Mm-hmm,
uh
mm-hmm.
mythology and
Yeah,
memory is all very,
yeah.
you don't really know what's going on there. So but it's interesting. It's very
I quite
fascinating
like
stuff.
that actually. I like that somehowness
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
of
yeah.
that stuff. I
Definitely.
remember I had a professor, one of my professors at university, was I think he was Chinese, and but
Hmm.
he when he and I took a comparative religions, um, and it
Yeah.
mostly focused on like Eastern
Hmm.
religions, prominently kind of Buddhism and Taoism, but sort
Hmm.
of comparing that to other
Yeah.
quote unquote Western religions, which aren't really Western.
No,
They're
no.
actually everything's Eastern, actually, in a sense, but anyway, but you know what I mean. The
Right.
religions that have influenced
Yeah.
and how they've been kind of done in Western,
Yeah.
culture and history and things. And anyway, he would say there was this somehow, he would say, and somehow, when he was explaining the teaching, and that just it was like the first time I heard somebody kind of use that phrase, but in the way that he used it, and
Uh,
to convey a meaning, you kind of understood what he was saying, but without words, trying to say somehow this is what, you know somehow, you know all the stuff that transcends the rational mindset, or
exactly.
it transcends our ordinary existence, he would say somehow. And I was like, it just rang so true. And so I started using that, and a friend of mine and I coined the phrase, because we both were at that time at university. This one good friend of mine from Pittsburgh, he a bit of a character. He um he was into kind of Buddhism, Taoism as well.
Mhm.
Not to the extent that I was, but it was a general kind of, you know,
Yeah.
Eastern influence kind of thing. And he would, we coined this phrase, the somehowness, when we were discussing things amongst
Yeah.
ourselves,
Yeah.
the somehowness of, da da
Yeah.
da, whatever, and it's that intuitive kind of
So,
leap, that intuitive kind
yeah.
of you suspending, all this other stuff, all this other, which is what we're kind of talking about here. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
we
And
can't do that ourselves. It's not us. It's not me that's going to do that, which is,
right.
that adds that frustration. So a couple of things I wanted to say is the first point you made about it's
Mm,
good to just question. And it's not only, the thing that came to mind was, and this is what we're supposed to be doing. This is part, like you're supposed to take it as far as it will go. Like you until until
right.
Shinjin settles. This is, you're supposed to be speaking up. You're supposed to be talking about it. You're supposed to be, not, oh, I think I'll just go back over the hedge and hope for the best.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be, um, not that it's gonna like it's not like a practice that's gonna alter our thing,
Mhm.
and it's not even our practice. It's even us doing that is Amida's practice. Even us doing the Dharma dialogue and talking about our questions and and asking our questions,
Mhm.
talking about our doubts, talking about the barriers in Dharma dialogue. That's Amida's practice. It's not even. That's not even. We're doing it. It's kind of like
Yeah.
the that's how I see it. It's kind of like the Nembutsu. We're saying it, but it's actually Amida's
Yeah.
practice.
I
It's actually
really
Amida's
like
call kind of thing.
yeah, I like how Reverend Ray puts describes that the causes and conditions, that of our lives are those that were that are created for us by Amida Buddha.
Yeah,
And that when you really think about that, you start to understand the connection between this life I'm living now and Dharmakara's vow to save all beings. It's not just I just happen to be living this life and it's all random.
yeah.
It's actually that I am leaving the causes and conditions that the Amida Buddha, the
Has
infinite,
arranged
has has
and
arranged
and
so
set the
that
stage
they
for.
can,
Yeah,
so
behind
that
the
really
scenes, all these behind the scenes that we can't be aware of. Yeah, over multiple lifetimes, incalculable
mm,
lifetimes. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, that's what I was going to say. So it's a very it really is the working of, you know, other power.
That's
Because I'm
basically what you just said. It's
clearly,
good from the past, right? That's what
yeah,
you're
yeah,
essentially talking
yeah.
about is good. Amida's good from the past. It's not our good from the past. It's Amida's.
Right, right. Very important. Yeah,
That's all set up and arranged.
yeah.
So it's not like we're trying to set the conditions or we're trying to set the. It's not.
If I just,
So
figure it out, then I can be born in the Pure Land.
if I, what, let me just. Can I see the script? Can I'm like the actor that wants to. You know what I
to
mean? Look at
to
talk
make
to the
changes.
director, trying to talk to the director.
Yeah,
Look, yeah, I'm not sure about this. Can we? I think we need to.
yeah.
Is trying to go on his own to try to arrange everything. And
Right.
there's, the
I'm not sure
director
we
and the
should a
producer are
tragic comic disaster, but here we are.
anyway. Um, so I guess that was the one thought I had. One of the thoughts when about the first
Mm,
point you made. The second point was what came to mind was when it's so like when you just to sit back, and this is part of the problem, to sit back and know you're already accepted.
mm,
Like that's so contrary to everything.
yeah,
That's just so contrary to all of my entire existence,
yeah.
to just
And mine too.
accept myself as I am. Yeah, and I think
Yeah,
it's to most beings. Samsara just that's it's like it's the opposite of way samsara works. For our
right.
in our
Yeah,
deluded, mind stream, our deluded,
no,
kleshid, consciousness. That's it's just
yeah,
completely, and it's kind of like the core thing because like all this stuff is me. I'm trying, calculating, trying. What do I gotta do? Um,
right.
I gotta figure
What
this
do you have to
out.
become?
If I can just figure it out, if I can just get that
Yeah,
to that singularity in my own mind,
yeah,
if I could just get to that one, and just get it sorted, then
yeah.
Shinji,
Then you can conceive the inconceivable.
yeah,
If I can
it's
just
still,
conceive the
and
inconceivable,
yeah,
then
exactly.
it'll,
And this is one of the things that jumped out a couple of times through it
yeah,
there in this reading, so much that I never even noticed. So that whole thing of, oh, this is getting nowhere, nothing's happening.
yeah,
When I just reading the texts, just reading the writings of our Dharma masters or the Pure Land Sutras, that just proves that wrong, because every time I read it, something new. I just didn't see that before. So
Yeah.
something's Jinin is happening, Jinin happens, so in a good
Yeah.
way. It's the best thing. But anyway, so the one of the things that popped out was, it says just something along the lines of just realize the naturalness of the way, the Dharma.
Mm.
Like just
Hmm.
it points to that there isn't the original Dharma is there's no striving, you know. But yes, and it makes reference many times to, you know, any beings can just come if they have,
Yeah.
the various different the different ways that that's expressed,
Mm.
essentially the, the entrusting mind, sincere mind, wishing to go there, saying the name, just in different ways, or in those reworked, in the ways that Shinran has reworked what that's kind of the implication of
Mm-hmm.
that saying. It always says, except when beings have made vows according to their, do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Then
Yeah.
yeah, keep, keep doing what you're doing. But, you know, even then, because it comes back and it talks about the bodhisattvas that, are doing all, and then they can just go there as
Yeah.
well. So,
Right. Right.
but anyway, so it's that naturalness, that the original naturalness
Yeah.
of the way of the original Buddha of beginning of time, that's what kind of made me think of that, relax. Like
Yes.
there's nothing, in fact, not only is this getting you nowhere, because yeah, you are getting yourself nowhere, you know what I mean? But you can't get yourself anywhere. And
Yeah.
that's part of the problem of the ordinary bamboo,
Yeah.
with kleshas, blind passions that do not cease until the very end of your life.
Yeah. And Nagarjuna, of course, is our first of our patriarchs in of many other schools as well. But in his um verses on the middle way and so on, I mean, he just takes an axe to the whole thing. I mean, he shows how motion is impossible. He shows how the way we conceive of cause and effect is absurd. I mean, he just you know he just does a whole volley of logical on the whole
Yeah.
idea that
Yeah.
we can get anywhere and that we can I mean, it's quite interesting.
Yeah. In that way that he does with all the like, you know, takes us through the
Mhm.
entire Dharma in like that
Yeah.
way that he does. Yeah. That's, yeah. Well, and the sutra does that in a way as well. The Pure
Hmm.
Sutra. This is another thing I never really picked up on is the
Yeah.
sections of it, so it has the thing of like first we gives us the alternate universe prehistory of,
Uh-huh. Right.
things,
Yeah.
and then, of the Buddhas, and then through to Lucas, Lucas Vajrayaja
Hmm.
Buddha, and then Dharmakara's journey and all of that, and then it goes into, um describing the bodhisattva journey, and then it talks about, you know um um how they are, and the Buddhas, and how Buddhas are, and then eventually it goes through all these things, and how the Pure Land is, the characteristics of the Pure Land that,
Hmm.
were
Yeah.
I to try to describe this, you would, it's impossible to, completely describe it and comprehend it, but
Yeah.
so anyway. And then after all that, so you see you know the realized awakened mind, basically, and all those things, and then it says, okay, and nirvanic kind of, existence, or not really existence. That's not the right word, but you know what I mean. And then it
Yeah.
goes to, okay, and here's what life is like for samsaric beings in
Yes. In the second one.
excruciating, yeah, in the second part, in the second half, kind of yeah, kind of the second half of the second half, it goes through this excruciating, you know, detail of just detailing samsaric existence, and then all other, you know,
Yeah.
not just human, it goes through human existence, but all other, briefly kind of touches on the other, and then gives you the process of how that happens through karma. And like by the end, after you, after you have this great, you know, this discussion of all these things, of the, the basically the, Buddhahood and the awakened mind and the Bodhi mind, and, how all that looks and, is, and then takes you through, and it just shows you the impossibility. That's the thing. Once you see that, and
Mhm.
if you identify at all with
Yeah.
any of that, which I complete, like almost like everything. I'm like, yep, 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 yep. You know what I mean? Sometimes I have to like almost, I think my mind defensively tuned out, I have to keep going back to, because it's like, yeah, yeah,
That hits a
yeah.
little too
Even stuff
close
that's
to
not even
home.
in my experience, I still like, I'm like, yep, yeah. And, and, yeah, exactly. Almost like, the hells. Have you ever read the description of the hells, in,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I only did that once, got through that one time. That I can't remember, where is that? Where is it? Where it's very detailed description of the hells.
It's probably
Yeah,
the Dharma, maybe, I
I
guess it
think,
would be.
yeah, it might be. Yeah, but I read that one time, listened to that one time, and I was like, okay, that's probably won't happen again for a lot of years. Anyway, it's like it's
Uh,
fascinating at the same time, though. Weirdly, like you're just weirdly sort of,
hmm.
like, it kind of blows
Yeah.
your mind a bit, but it's just quite harrowing, and just the horridness is,
Uh,
it's hard to describe. But anyway, so, and just imagine that the mindset that will take you there, and that,
yeah.
um, most of us go down, as
And some
the
people,
Buddha said.
are already there,
Already there. Yeah, no,
There's a
exactly.
very much,
Mm,
there's very
yeah.
much of a, this is one of those somehow
Yeah. Yeah.
areas of the Dharma.
Definitely. Oh, definitely.
It's
The other, we're in the
yeah,
worlds already. Yeah, we're in the, if you take it from the 10 worlds kind of
yeah.
description of things, through the Lotus Sutra. Yeah, we have all the, but we have one that's probably and this is just all Buddhist, I think, teach all sects of
Mm,
Buddhism in one way or another kind of have this kind of, you're predominantly kind of in one of the, you can be predominantly in your human existence in one of the worlds. Some
mm,
people are more animalistic, other people are more like a ghost, like myself. Like there's so many different things where I'm, have preta kind of, you know, mindset and things. But anyway, so that there's just so many different, anyway, how, where are we at here? What
oh,
was I talking about this?
you were explaining how reading about where Shakyamuni and the Lotus
Oh
Sutra
yeah,
describe five evils
yes,
and how
yeah,
some of it was like a little
and
bit
just
too real.
yeah, yeah, and just describing samsaric existence, and then how you get there, and
Yeah.
it just shows that impossibility, and how, and it's kind of, and then there's those comparisons in there about, if you put, if you put, it's this comparing different beings at one
Yeah.
point, if you put like the highest deva next to a Buddha, he's the highest deva is going to look like this impoverished fool, or something on it. It's not exactly that, but then they do different, like the, going to look like a beggar, next to a, you know,
Mhm.
um, and so on, does different things. But it's just that it's just so, it highlights, I think this is what I was trying to say. It just highlights that the impossibility of it. And yet we still keep trying to, you know, and there's moments where I realize and I go, okay, just say number two, man. Just Relax. Just listen, do your
Yeah,
dialogue, shut the F up, like just calm down, just, and I mean, still talk about it. I don't mean shut the F up
right,
in the
right.
sense, I just mean up here, just like turn it
Turn
off,
off the
turn
turn
off
off the tap.
the just the incessant calculating, which you can't turn off anyway. I can't turn that off, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Don't focus on it, I guess, don't be so, there's times where I just relax and it's real. And then there's other times where I see that's what it's saying. So I see it in a rational way almost. Like there's
Mhm.
different ways you see it and you go, basically what it's saying is that all this useless spinning, all this stuff I'm doing is completely useless and won't get me anywhere anyway. Yeah, it won't get me anywhere. And it's just
Yeah.
all up to Amida. And then that frustrates the hell out of me, that end of it. Like, what do I, okay,
Will do.
here I am, still
Yeah,
waiting. Here I
yeah.
am, Anyway, so those are just some of my thoughts
Mm.
that came to mind. And so anyway, the whole reason I'm reading these again, well, not again, I should say, this time around reading the
Mhm.
three sutra. I'm going to go through the three sutras and then just try to go through the entire collected works, is because you've been talking with Reverend Fukumoto, Fukumoto,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh, about these things, about my situation and my frustrations and my hitting the wall. And he had, said to you something that he's kind of already said, that, about, people having their own filters of, shall I just read what he actually says? The,
Yeah.
yeah, the Reverend, he says, today, I believe too many people have put their own filters of what they think they know regarding Jodo Shinshu. If they read the collected works of Shinran after they read the larger Pure Land Sutra and I'm not saying the Japanese because I
No, that's
will murder it. If they read the larger Pure Land Sutra and the other two sutras, then read the collected works of Shinran, it would do wonders for their understanding. So, you know,
boom.
and
I,
it's so
I
it makes
totally
so
agree.
much sense. It's like, well, yeah, of course. Like when I heard when you first told me that, I was like, yeah, that would make sense because that's kind of that's where the whole, so I'm finally doing that. I'm uh as
Great.
at this point, and and I appreciate that, that
Yeah.
you talked with him about my, I'm very grateful for you talking to him about my my circumstance, situation and frustrations and things, and his offer to actually do one of these Dharma dialogue sessions with us. And so we'll eventually do that. But anyway, I've embarked on that now
That's wonderful.
in a
I
yeah
yeah, I need to do it
in a
too.
determined way. So but
It's been a while since I've actually read through, the sutras and then also collected works of Shinron. But I should do that as well as a project. It'd be good preparation for Tokudo too.
mm, definitely.
Um,
So
and not just Tokudo, but life.
yeah, exactly,
I did
exactly.
want to say about the larger sutra. One of my favorite parts at the end is, like you said, it shows the world of enlightenment, of nirvana. In the very picturesque and beautiful language of the Pure Land, and all the birds that are singing the Dharma, and the sounds of emptiness, and it's just so amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
And then it brings you down to earth, so to speak, with the the description of
yeah, exactly, exactly.
samsara and
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
And what I think is interesting is how at the end of each section where the Buddha is talking about the five evils, he says, but if people, do good and have practice the Dharma and have a sincere mind, they can be reborn in a heaven, and then eventually reach, liberation. And I always found myself thinking at that point, can I? um, can I
Yeah.
do that? Because
Yeah, exactly.
the description of the reality of samsara is so yes, and then after that, the part I love is where I forget if it's Ananda. I think it's Ananda, but it might be Maitreya, because in the second half of the sutra, Maitreya sort of comes out of nowhere, and then the Buddha is talking to Maitreya as well as Ananda, kind of. But where they ask, they sort of someone requests to show us Amida, and then it describes it as like when the world is flooded at the end of a cosmic cycle, the light
Yes.
shines forth from the pale end,
Yes.
and then at the very end it says, and only the light of the Buddha alone remained shining.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
thought
Yeah.
that's like such the perfect ending to the sutra, because I mean I'm getting shivers just thinking
Yeah.
about
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
It's
And then what happens after that light shines and everyone is just, wow, they rejoice, and
yeah.
they worship Shakyamuni, they pay reference to Shakyamuni, and it's like, what need more be said?
Yeah.
and, and
Exactly. Yeah.
Shinron really does interpret, really finds the true meaning of the sutra in this light, which is also the same light that we see, shining from the face of Shakyamuni at the very beginning of the sutra, right? And which Dharmakara also, as we sort of talked about, sees, when he praises Lokeshvara Rajabuddha, he uses the same Kogen Gigi, the
Mhm.
light of
Yeah.
your countenance,
Yes.
the light of your
Yeah.
face.
And then
And
Avalokiteshvara does that
mm,
with the Amida Buddha himself. He does that to similar. He sees
yeah,
the light that starts to encircle his head, and
yes,
then all that, and then you know it's that similar. Anyway, yeah,
yeah. And then it all ends with like that coda of, and only the light of the Buddha remained shining.
yeah,
Wow.
boom, yeah. Exactly. After this
Wow.
whole insane, inconceivable process of samsara, you know,
Uh,
is dissipated, then yeah, it was always there. That's
mhm.
the thing. It was always
Yeah.
anyway.
And
But
the larger sutra doesn't, leave it at that. It actually shows us how we can, encounter, how we can
mm,
receive, so to speak, how we can engage and
yeah,
be, you know, shown on by all of that. So,
yeah, exactly. Shall we just start to go through it now? We're at the kind of not even an hour yet, 45-minute
mm,
mark, I guess.
sure, yeah.
Um, yeah, just go and just I don't think I'm not suggesting that we try to read this together, just that you know that hold on one sec. I'm just trying to share. Oh no, that's I just did that. There we go. Again, multitasking, the whole there we go. Okay. Sorry to show everyone
Ah, yes.
the SS Valiant. If anyone's a fan of Star Trek, they will a serious fan of Star Trek, they'll recognize that vessel. That it wasn't I don't know if it was ever established on screen in any of the productions, but it's accepted kind of as canon because it's Michael Okuda. The Okudas kind of came
Yeah.
up with the image of it. The Michael and Denise, I think her name is Okuda, one of the major writers and things for the various
Mhm.
tracks. But anyway, so
It's
yeah,
surprising to me how many Shin Buddhists are also Trekkies.
yes.
Quite interesting.
Exactly. So anyways, it kind of makes sense if you think, because I mean, there's a lot of very i having a sci-fi imagination, I think helps when you're you know
Yeah, could
looking
be.
at
I could see
when
that.
you're to be a Pure Land or Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, but or any Buddhist in general, having that flexibility of mind to kind of what
Yeah.
I mean, to to kind of
Spiritual imagination.
see things that anyway. So yeah, this is the PDF version of the three Pure Land Sutras. So I'm just going to show all the copyright stuff here, because they do give a permission on this document somewhere about all of this. So here it is. So it's BDK English Tripitaka series, the three Pure Land Sutras, yeah, translated from the Chinese by Hisao Inagaki in collaboration with Howard Stewart. Revised second edition, BDK America Inc. 2003. And there's there's this there's all that, but there's where is the oh, well, anyway, I know there's a message where it says, it gives the okay to use it.
Mhm.
So, and this is we just reading from this, looking at this for educational
Right.
purposes. There's no profit, there's no nothing, and the copyright is, of course, the copyright owners uh, of this. So sorry, just trying to get through all of the
And while you're scrolling, I should
yeah
say this
yeah.
you
Please
can buy
talk.
this book in a paper, an actual print format, and I highly recommend that everybody does because this is
Yes, I have that.
the
Yeah.
this
The
is
book.
the book. It's literally the book.
Exactly. Um, so there's all
It is a very,
the
very good
gathering.
translation. It's
Mm,
Harold Stewart was actually a Australian poet and convert to Shin Buddhism, and with the late Inagaki Sensei, he assisted in this translation, and I think it really does show in the quality of the English
mm,
translation
mm-hmm,
is really, really good. I mean,
mm,
probably some of the best translation work of
excellent.
any
Yeah.
text ever, in my opinion. But
Mm,
anyway, please
excellent.
continue.
No, yeah, no, it's good. I when I do my reading of it for my channel, I'm going to read all of the forwards and translators notes and all of that, because I think that's important, um
Yeah.
to know the background of all that. But so yeah, we're going through the whole process here. The Bodhisattva. This is he's talking about the the gathering, obviously, first, and then but I'm
Mhm.
just trying to get to the first thing that really struck me
Yeah.
just deeply into. Yeah.
Yeah, this is talking about the journey that every bodhisattva, sort of
Bodhisattva goes through. Yeah.
archetypal, the archetypal journey, life of the Buddha, so to speak.
Exactly. And then this is, yeah, there we go. This is the 50 Buddhas until we get to
Yeah.
Svaraja.
Sambutsuge,
Sorry,
which
say that
we've
again.
chanted on this channel or on this in these videos.
Oh yes, we exactly, yeah. I thought there was something in this interaction that
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
there was. Bear with me a sec.
Mm-hmm.
One. Is this one? You can keep talking if you wish about thoughts you
Yeah,
had,
this
but
is
while
well. I'll
I'm
just
still
say
looking.
that
Yeah,
this is after Dharmakara has
yeah,
sung the praises of Lokeshvara Raja and Sambutsige, and now um, he is asking Lokeshvara Raja how bodhisattvas established their pure lands, basically,
yeah,
and in
yeah,
with the intention of wishing to do that.
exactly.
And these, of course,
Yeah, here's
are
the
the
actual. Yeah, the 48. Yeah, the 48 vowels. Oh yeah, there was one of those that I want to come back to that we've talked about before, but it struck me very strongly in when I was reading through it this time
Mhm.
and listening through it this time. Okay, so and did they? No, that's after this. When they talk about the three grades, yeah, of lotuses. There's
Yeah,
something about that I want to mention too that I never noticed
sure.
before, but it
Mhm.
has implications for yes, this is the easy path. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? There's even in the description of the three lotuses, which are kind of provisional
Yeah,
descriptions, and then the lower grade is obviously hinting at
yeah.
the Shinjin, the hinting at, you know.
Mm.
But anyway, if when I attain Buddhahood, sentient beings in the immeasurable and inconceivable bitter lands of the 10 directions who have been touched by my light should not feel peace and happiness in their bodies and minds surpassing those of humans and devas, may I not attain enlightenment. Yeah,
Yeah, I love this vow, and it does appear in Kyogyo Shinsho as well.
it yeah, it's the first time I noticed it, it kind of blew my mind. Like, wait, what? How did I not notice that before? And then on
Yeah.
the other hand, my sort of calculating mind and cynical, well, I don't experience, you know, peace and happiness in my my body and mind, surpassing those of humans and devas. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
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 it's
yeah,
so it's
yeah,
this on one hand, it's like, wow, that's
yeah.
so amazing and so true on the other hand. Do you know what I mean? It's always this
Right. Yeah.
back and forth argument, but that is like very often, I think, overlooked
Hmm.
when
Yes.
the vows are discussed. That is a pretty like, do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Major thing. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And this is also, I think, this vow pops up quite a bit in Shinron. I think Rinyo Shonin also
yeah.
makes reference to this vow. Um, Even though we often say, there's the five true vows, true Shinjitsu Gogan, uh, the 11, 12, 13, 17, and 18. This one actually kind of can be included as well because it basically is almost like it sort of is kind of goes along with the 12th vow of my light being unlimited, right?
Yeah.
Because this is saying uh my light is shining everywhere, and those who are touched or encounter that light um, shall feel peace and happiness in their bodies and minds, surpassing those of humans and devas. And I think one thing to point out here too is surpassing humans and devas, but actually the idea here is that it's a sort of peace and happiness that is apart from
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm. Yeah,
the happiness that is ordinarily can be realized by humans and gods in the
yeah,
various realms. It's actually a wholly other
yeah.
kind
Kind of
of
like Buddhahood is
experience.
a wholly other thing of
Yeah.
what reality actually is than samsara, if you see what I mean.
Exactly.
Like, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, that's all I wanted
Okay.
to say
No,
about
good. Yeah. And it's one of those things where I think is that, is it kind of, again, I don't know if this is calculations or speculations or what, but it seems like that might be one of the the benefits in this life
that.
of true and trusting, sincere, when Sinjin is settled one thought moment, do you know what I mean, kind of things.
Absolutely.
But
I think so.
anyway, that was one thing that sort of jumped out again, um when I was going through this. And if there's anything you want to stop and look at while I'm just flicking through, I think the
Oh, sure.
next thing that kind of came that I remember really striking me was just try to find the grades of lotuses. Hold on.
Mm.
Is that in the first part or is that?
No, it's after this, I think.
Oh, it's not letting me search. That's very weird. Why won't it let me do the,
It's it's
must
probably going
be,
to be, yeah, here he's describing the Pier Land, and then
oh, here.
after the description of Pier Land, I think it's going to be
No, it doesn't let me. After, yeah, so,
yes. Oh, can you go up a bit?
yeah, sure. Where? What number?
Yeah, I just saw something that ties into the 33rd vow.
Okay. Where?
Maybe a little bit higher.
Okay.
Let's see. Yes, right here, I think.
Okay.
Yes. Um, okay, right there. Talking about the light of Amiteus Buddha or Amida Buddha. Um, talks about how it's basically infinite, can't be measured, Um, and then scrolling, going down just a little bit, it says, for this reason, Amiteus is called by the following names, and then gives
Mm.
the 12
Mm-hmm.
names of the Buddha, all focusing on the light,
Yeah.
or the 12 names of the light. And then if sentient beings encounter his light, their three defilements are removed. They feel tenderness, joy, and pleasure, and good thoughts arise. If sentient beings in the three realms of suffering see his light, they will all be relieved and freed from affliction. At the end of their lives, they all reach liberation. That,
Yes.
I think, is very important
That pretty much
for
explains the whole what happens. If yeah, or
uh,
what's happening, I should say.
mhm. I
Um,
just wanted to point that out.
yeah,
Too good
yeah,
to pass up.
exactly. It's that if you think of it in the terms of, um, the um, Shinjin in this, in this life, salvation in this life kind of
Hmm.
way. It, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, yeah, it is something special. Shinjin
Yeah.
is definitely something special. But anyway, um, so
And
let's
there's
just,
actually, the great thing about the larger sutra.
yeah,
Well, actually, I should say the great thing about Shinron's Kyogyo Shinsho is he actually quotes other translations of the larger sutra and lines them up, and so you see like
yeah,
because there were other
yeah,
Chinese versions of the larger sutra,
mm, mm,
and some of them really like have something that adds to the content, or maybe shows it in a little different way, the way
mm,
it was
mm,
interpreted, or the way the translation was done.
yeah,
And so that's something I really like about Kyogyo Shinsho, and this passage is one of the examples, because in the version of the sutra that Shinron quotes, it says, um, talking about the light, among all human beings, and even insects that leap or worms that crawl, there is none that does not see Amida Buddha's light. Among those that see it, there is none that does not come to possess a heart of compassion and rejoice. And then it goes on to say, uh, Amida Buddha makes that light and name heard throughout the boundless, unlimited, countless lands of the Buddhas in the eight quarters. There is none among the devas and human beings who does not hear and know them. Of those who hear and know them, none fails to attain emancipation. Wow.
yeah. Wow is right. Wow is an understatement. Um, yeah, it's that amazing way that Shinron has of using all the texts and bringing out all the nuances and different angles. And so
Mm-hmm.
just want to find, I wish I could use the find thing for the 3 grades of lotuses, but pretty sure I thought that was in the first part. Maybe it isn't the second part that I'm thinking of, but I thought it was in the first. Maybe it's in the second part, the part 1. Yeah. Okay. Well,
There's the outline at the beginning that
yeah, I was
might
thinking maybe
help.
we should just, yeah, go back to that.
That also helps to kind of get a
The structure
bird's
of it.
eye view,
Yeah,
so to
when
speak.
I read it for my channel, I'm going to read the actual, just this, maybe not the contents bit, but the where it gives that outline of it,
Uh,
because I think that's
yeah,
an important. Where is it? Is it? Have I passed it?
I think it's after this probably.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. Anyone
Uh,
who's watching. Here we go. Yeah, here it is. There's the outline. I think this is the outline. Yeah, synopsis. Yeah, outline and list of sections. So
hmm. And this is the great thing about this book, by the way, is it has these resources that that
exactly.
guide you, and that you can refer to really understand the structure of
Mm-hmm.
the text.
Yep, exactly. It is actually part 2. It is actually in part 2. That so bear with a moment. It's basically the implications of what each of them says at the end of each description is what really
Hmm.
jumped out at me as a hint of what kind of the sutra is saying.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what it says. Yeah. Oh no, have I passed it again? Sorry. I thought it was like
Did
toward
it
the
have
beginning.
the page number?
You know what? I should have looked at it. I didn't look at that. Hold on a minute. Uh, Here's the contents. Okay. Outline. Further on. After this, hopefully. Yeah. So yeah. So it's 272. It just gives the oh no, that's sorry. Where's the
Oh, I
grades?
think the
Yeah, highest
section
grade. Yeah.
number.
Yeah,
Uh,
272 B12. 272 is the, let me see if I can, no, there's an
section
where
23.
section 23. Yeah. Okay. Oh, is that the page actually? Is 272 the page?
Uh,
Yeah. Or is that like a
Maybe, yeah.
section as well? 272. Let me just try.
It's
Oh no, it couldn't be.
either,
It
it
couldn't
might
be. Yeah, because there's
be,
only 188 pages. So.
yeah. It's a reference to the print block in the Taisho Tripitaka, I think.
Okay.
But it should be section 23,
There. I
the
just, yeah, I
section
just saw it. Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
left.
Oh, sorry guys. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, right after this one, probably.
So yeah, okay. So here's 23. All right. So it tells the higher grade. So it's talking about the higher grade and what they need to do. And it says,
Mhm.
you know, so this is it just describes what to be born in the higher grade of Lotus, what beings need to have done or will
Yeah.
have done, and then the middle grade it describes that, and it's all kind of provisional self power kind of things, and it says this, and it says. Their virtue will and wisdom will be next to those of the higher grade of aspirants. Okay, so they're so the middle grade is equal to the higher grade, basically.
Mhm.
And then it says for the lower grade, which is kind of us, more or less. The lower grade of
Mhm.
aspirants are the devas and humans in the worlds of the 10 directions who sincerely desire to be born in that land. Although unable to do many meritorious deeds, they awaken aspiration for the highest enlightenment and single-mindedly think of Amitayus even 10 times, desiring birth in his land. When they hear the profound Dharma, they joyfully accept it and do not entertain any doubt. That's all basically sounds like Shinjin being given, the Buddha
Right.
mind, the Shinjin mind being given.
Mhm.
And so thinking of the Buddha even once, they sincerely aspire to be born in that land. Again, same. When they are about to die, they will, this is, when this is when they're about to die, we'll see the Buddha in a dream. Those aspirants too will be born in the Pure Land. Their merit and wisdom will be next to, not equal to, but next to. So it says their merit and wisdom will be next to those of the middle grade of aspirants. Well, if the middle grade of aspirants are next to the higher grade of aspirants, and the merit and wisdom of the of the lower grade of aspirants are next to those of the middle grade, then the lower grade are next to the. Do you see what I mean? It's kind of a little.
Right.
I
Yeah.
never noticed that. It just clicked this time around that there's a hint
Yeah.
of this is the true teaching. The last one is kind of the true teaching, even though it's still slightly provisional. But you get, if you do the Shinran reading of it, if you do the true
Right.
in the true teaching way, it's a little hint there. I think. Do you see what I mean? It's a hint of this is the real
Oh,
true
yeah.
way. This is the true you know teaching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so that just does that make sense, or am I getting that kind of
Oh,
wrong? Or
totally. Yeah, that's great. I do want to. I want to bring up. I wonder if I can find it. Since we're talking about the three, uh, the three grades,
Grades. Yeah.
and then the Contemplation Sutra breaks it down even further, um, and has the highest level. Each grade actually has 3 levels, so there's actually a total of 9 possible,
Yeah. There's
grade
within, there's
levels.
grades within the
Yeah,
grade. Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But what's interesting about this, and I wonder if I can find it, um, uh, is that I think it might be Shantou, or it might be Shinron quoting um, Shantou, but basically he says that although provisionally, basically these grades, the implication in the sutra is that it's uh, describing, how you will become in the Pure Land, right? Like after you're born in the Pure Land, there will be sort of these grades. But one of the patriarchs points out that these are actually describing practicers in this world. And
Mm,
once people are
hmm.
born in the Pure Land,
Makes
all of
sense.
those distinctions, although provisionally they're here in this world, they all it's like all the rivers entering the ocean and becoming one taste.
Yeah.
There's no
Makes sense.
distinction
Yeah.
between the grades in the fulfilled true Pure
And the
Land,
fulfilled true. Yeah.
which
Not
I
the
always thought,
Borderlands. The Borderlands are different.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Which has
That
come up more than
really
once in our
answered,
conversations of my hitting the wall. The Borderland, the Borderland,
yes.
loophole. The Borderland. Anyway, yeah.
But that I wish I could find the it would be good if I could find the actual
Passage.
passage. I
Yeah.
wonder if this is it. Let me
No,
look
that
real quick.
does make sense though. It's
No, this is not it.
yeah.
Yeah, but basically, it's the grades are describing, the differences of practitioners in this world, and then in the Pure Land, there's no distinction. It's like all the rivers, becoming one taste when they flow into the sea. And I always thought that that really answered the question that the sutra kind of raises, is there like this sort of hierarchy in the Pure Land of, and
Yeah.
as it's kind of like you pointed out, they're next to the higher grade, next to the
Yeah.
middle grade, next,
Yeah.
and ultimately taking the sort of how to put it, the true and real perspective of the sutra. It's that there is no. I mean, the Pure Land is a world of nirvanic truth and awakening, in which there is no, distinction being made between practicers of whatever capacity. So it's, for me, that's always been a really important explanation,
Yes.
that
Definitely.
you only find, if you actually move on from the sutra to read the 7 masters, and then also Shinron, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Um, the other thing that I wanted to discuss, kind of indirectly related to this, is whenever it points to the that in the grades of lotuses where Amida Buddha will and his assembly will at the end of your life appear to you, or appear to you in a dream, you know um
Mm.
at the end of your existence, or whatever, however that's put. At some point I'd like to discuss I know dreams in Buddhism are, there's different teachings about that, but I've had four very significant dreams in the course of time of that I've been um,
Mhm.
a Jodo Shinshu um, practitioner, I guess you'd say, call it. And two of them very recent this week that were very,
Oh.
very like directly, you know, profoundly, striking to me. But
Mhm.
do you mind if I just describe those since the dream came out where it mentions the dream?
Yeah, please
And
do.
we'll probably unpack, maybe discuss these at another time. But one of the this was earlier on. This was when I was working with one, particular group, um,
Mhm.
and the I had a dream where I was in a temple. I was in a Buddhist temple, um, and it was kind of but it had like places to sit, almost like pews type things, so not we weren't, it wasn't a sitting on the ground kind of thing or anything
Mhm.
like that. It was chairs or pews or whatever. And the and there was like sort of nothing toward the front and no one, um and of the temple. It just kind of, it was
Mm.
almost like it spoke for itself. That, do you know what I mean? And I was like, what's going on here? I suddenly realized I'm in the temple and there's nothing and no one up front officiating anything or doing anything, or do you know what I mean? There's no images, there's no. And I turned around and there were some monks behind me, very Theravada kind of looking, you know what I mean, with those kind of robes and things. And I it might not have been Theravada, they might just, but very traditional garbed,
Mhm.
monks sitting behind me, one very young monk. And I looked at him and I was like, uh, if I, is there, am I, there's kind of like, is something else going to happen, or am I waiting, do you know what I mean? What's
Mhm.
going on here? And he just pointed back, pointed me back, just pointed me back in a, what I mean, toward the front. Kind of almost like, and the message, or the, not message, but that intuitive somehowness was, yes, it's inconceivable, but that's the truth. The truth. And it was Amida's light.
Yeah.
It was Amida that's up front. It's Amida's teaching. It's Amida's practice. It's Amida's light is up there. Just that is, yeah, no, you got it
The
right.
direction.
Yeah, yeah. And it was kind of like there's nothing to do. You know what I mean? Am I supposed to do something? Is no that do you know what I mean? And so that really stayed with me. That struck me.
No.
And I tried to
Amazing.
discuss it at one point with someone that I was working with at the time, and they just were kind of, well, it was a dream. But I don't know what you want me to do with that. Do you know what I mean? I was like, well, okay. But
No.
anyway, I mean, they were very helpful in other ways with the Dharma dialogue
Yeah.
and teachings. But to me, I felt like that was really a significant,
Yeah.
sort of.
Definitely.
So that was one. And then this is much later when I was working with another sangha, another group. I had a dream
Mhm.
where I was in a museum. And whenever I'm in a museum, I always go to the Buddhist stuff, the Eastern, the Chinese, Japanese, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of, you know, whatever it is, Southeast Asia, whatever. Where I'm that part of the museum I'm going to, I'm trying to find, for the Buddhist, you know what I mean? And so that wasn't unusual. But when I got to this one hallway, and it's very kind of, the classic looking, very kind of Romanesque, kind of the columns and things, and this
Uh-huh.
very white, but it was very pristine. This one section was really beautiful and white and pristine and clean. And in the middle of the where you just walk through, there wasn't a huge amount of things on the side. It was very kind of sparsely, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
with the other things. then, but the main feature was in the middle of the walkway was this giant head of the Buddha, um, huge giant head of the Buddha, the Buddha mind, right there at where you'd walk, where you're walking, and not, you didn't have to look and turn. It was just right there in your way, like right there, um, and I was just like blown away. This is amazing. I've never, for some reason it really struck me, and no one else seemed to be kind of noticing it. They just thought, oh yeah, it's just another museum thing. But for me, it was just
Hmm.
like, this is so ancient. It's huge.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I saw like this like kind of platform it was on almost, and it was like this whole
Hmm.
nother world, kind of like almost like, and it
Hmm.
with pavilions and almost like the Pure Land. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
In the
Hmm.
dream, that's basically what it was. That suddenly, and I was like turning to see if anybody else could see this, and I turned back and it wasn't there. It was back to the you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The head. And I was trying to figure out,
Wow.
why, how do I see that again? How do I get up there on the platform? Like all my calculations. I want to get on that platform. I want to get up. How do I, and even when I was seeing it, I couldn't quite get up there. Do you see what I mean? And it was me striving. So that was that. And then the two this week were very similar to that I had these two dreams. One was, it was kind of set in the 70s. It
Uh,
was the,
Donkai, do you want to maybe stop sharing the screen so that we're full
Oh
size
yes, yes,
while
yes,
we're
yes,
while we're
yes.
discussing?
Yeah, just this. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. So there's this, so it's like set in the 70s, this dream. And because and it just the way people looked in the street, it was almost like one of those movies, only not as urban a landscape, more of a like suburban kind of thing. It
Uh,
wasn't, but it was that kind of feel, you know what I mean? People hanging
yeah.
out in the street. And I remember because my one aunt and uncle in the 70s, where I would go to visit in the summers and stay for like, a week or a couple of weeks or whatever, a month or whatever. And in a particular part of the state where I lived, it was quite beautiful. The Pocono, it was near the Poconos, basically. So
Mhm.
anyway, and there was all these people, and there was these like two cars, and there was a space. There was like cars in the street, but then there was this space uh, on
Mhm.
the street next to the sidewalk, and people would kind of come there. And if you got there, it was people that had this like dilemma in their life, or had come to a point where they just couldn't get any further with whatever they were doing. And it was
Yeah.
there, it was kind of like, and then literally it just, the thought
Mm.
or the intuition came in the dream that this was their moment where they have to have to realize either, okay, this is the path, self-power path to enlightenment, or the other power. Like either I can do
Uh,
this or I can't do this. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Either I'm an extraordinary being of some sort, or have, and I've made vows in the past, so I have to, realize that, or I'm an ordinary bamboo, you know, and
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? It was very much in the,
Uh-huh.
and but it came from different people, different walks of life, and the dilemma was kind of different for everybody. But you know what I mean?
Mm.
They'd come to that
Yeah.
point where they couldn't, and it was, more other things going on in their lives that kind of were symbolic of that. But that was essentially,
Mm.
and when they got between these two cars, that they had to like, it was, you know what I mean? It was like decision time, like, or at least that was
Yeah.
revealed in their mind, you know, that this is your, between these two, you know,
Between the cars.
Scylla and, so it's thinking, yeah, I was thinking, the different archetypical, things, between a
Yeah,
rock
that's
and a hard
interesting.
place, rock and a hard place, and you know that all those, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And then the other dream, this was again this week, I think two nights in a row. This was last night. I had another similar dream where I was planning my day and this thing I was going to do, whatever it was, with people or with my work or with
Mm.
the whatever it was. And I had to either give a presentation or implement, come up with this plan and then implement it and do all these things. And then there was like, um in the end, you had to go into this booth like this, like it was very sci-fi. It was like this, like round, you know, clear, transparent booth you'd go
Yeah.
into, and everything you were trying to work out and do was was irrelevant. And it sort of sorted everything for you, whatever this was, it that when you went into this booth, it sorted out all the things, your mind, the day, whatever your thing was going to be, and then you could
Yeah.
it enabled you to do it, kind of thing. So I just thought, again, that would seem very,
Interesting.
the
The Dharma
calculating
booth.
mind versus the, I'm making all these plans and I got to figure this out and I got to do this. I must do, but in the end, this just does it and sorts it all out
Yeah.
for you. Yeah. So I thought that was it too this week, a very similar, strong, which were tied to the, the other, the
Thematically.
second one that I had. Yeah. So, trying to figure out, how
Yeah.
do I get on that platform? How do I, you know, yeah. But anyway,
Yeah. That's amazing. I think
yeah,
um the dream about the large head or sculpture of the
yeah,
Buddha's head
yeah,
is interesting.
yeah,
There's a temple in Nara called Kofukuji that has a treasure museum. And
yeah,
one of the first things you see when you walk in
yeah.
um, is this enormous head
Oh,
of the Buddha
wow.
on a pedestal.
Wow.
And
That's,
it's actually it's actually the head of Shakyamuni sculpted by the great Unkei, was one of the great sculptors um, of the time of that period. And when I first saw this image, I just stood there and just, I mean, my mouth probably fell open because it was so powerful.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
the presence that in the personality of the Buddha, that just, and the compassion that just
yeah,
you sensed in this image. I
yeah.
was
That's what,
just, I
yeah.
couldn't believe it. It kind of reminded me of your dream a
That's
little bit.
exactly, that's a very, similar description to how it experienced that
Yeah,
in the dream times, 100 or something, it was like, and it was actually on like a dais pedestal, like Lotus, throne, and then that's what
yeah,
became the platform, and then suddenly the Pure Land was all kind of there. You know
that's
what I
amazing.
mean on this, and that's what I
Well,
was
you
trying.
should,
How do I get up there? How do I? And it would just keep disappearing
yeah,
and just be the Buddha head again. And anyway, yeah.
you should consider yourself very fortunate to have like dreams in which the Dharma appear, like Dharma dreams,
I
so
do.
to speak.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
I'm
cool.
very grateful. Very, very grateful. So, and on
And
that note,
there's a
perhaps we
lot of,
should. Oh, sorry. God. Yeah,
yeah, we could wrap it up, but I just
yeah.
wanted to say there's a lot of records of dreams in Rinyo Shonin's like the heard and recorded collection.
Mm,
And you know, dreams are definitely obviously a huge part of, the Shin tradition, starting
mm,
with Shinron's, sort of dream vision of, Shotoku,
yes.
Avalokiteshvara, and Rokakudo. And then Shinron's wife also had a dream in which she sort of saw Shinron as
Hmm.
a bodhisattva,
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
and
exactly.
then
Yeah.
she ended up never telling him about that dream. But that's interesting because supposedly Shinron also had a dream in which he saw um,
Yeah.
a bodhisattva taking the shape of his wife. So
Yeah.
apparently they both
Yeah.
believed each other to be bodhisattvas, which I thought that's probably a good way to have a good marriage, is
Yes,
to
exactly.
view each other as
As a bodhisattva.
bodhisattvas.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
So yeah, dreams, it's
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
a little
fantastic.
surprised. The one about the monk who pointed the finger, toward
Yes,
the
it was the
front.
yeah the
That's
used the pointing at the moon almost. Yeah, the classic
uh,
Zen. It was very Zen. The temple itself was very Zen, and that empty space at the front, just the wall. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
But that's what was, yeah, that's it. You can't conceive it. There's nothing for you to
yeah.
do.
That's
Anyway,
great.
yeah. Right. Well, thank you very much. We didn't say Nambutsu going in, but shall we say Nambutsu
Oh
going out?
yeah. Shall
Yeah.
we? Let's
And
close with
in my
Nimbutsu.
rush to this morning, I didn't grab my Nenju. So
No
anyway,
worries. All
Namo
right.
Amida.
Namo
Oh, sorry.
Nimbutsu.
Nambutsu.
How
Namo
shall
Amida
we?
Butsu.
Yes,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Gotcha.
Namo Amida
Amida
Butsu.
Butsu.
Namo Amida
Namo Amida
Butsu.
Butsu.
Namo
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo.
Shantina
Nam
Butsu.
Namida Butsu. Namida. Nam.
All
Excellent. Well,
right.
thank you very
So
much.
yeah, we can
Until next time.
probably yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to meet next week, but
Okay.
can definitely probably make it either on I think the 27th. So I'll
Hmm.
let you know though in case
Okay.
after I look at my schedule. But all
Sounds
right.
good. All right. Take
All
care.
right. As
All the
always,
best.
great
All right.
discussion.
Bye bye.
Yeah, have
Yeah.
a good day.
All right. Bye.
See ya.